No, I'm
Okay.
ready to roll.
All
Yeah.
right. Let's do it. Let's hop in. It's wonderful to meet you. Thank you so much for taking a minute out today. I
Oh, you
appreciate it.
bet. Yep. Excited.
Me too. So when we look at the calendar now, we're in mid to late March. 6 years ago, this pandemic was really gaining a foothold, changing everything. How did you make it through that coronavirus era, and how has it changed the way that you operate now, work and live?
Yeah, from a work standpoint, I was doing something else. I was doing a project for Butler University, which happens to be my alma mater here in Indianapolis, and that was challenging then. But from a personal standpoint, it really made me start to think about what did I really want to do when I grew up, right? I mean, I'd retired from my main career as banking and was doing some side projects and that type of stuff, but really made me take a step back and think about who I was, who I wanted to be, who I wanted to have an impact on, and how could I do that. So that really started the journey to make me look deep inside and start to think about how I could impact other people and utilize some of the experiences that I've had in my life. And that's when the idea for Quade, which is a CEO peer group, came about, and launched that, ended up in 2021, and have moved forward and continue to grow and scale and do all the good stuff.
The proverbial fork in the road for everybody was going through COVID. Do you think if COVID didn't happen, you may not be on this journey you're on right now? Do you think that hedged you to move one way or another?
I think I would still be on this journey. I think it probably accelerated it,
Yeah.
and just made me take. Well, you had time, right? You had way more time than you ever had in my professional life, anyway, to think about who you are and what you wanted to be and how you wanted to go about things. But yes, I still think I would be on this journey, but maybe not as far along as I am today because I think it accelerated it for sure.
So in this business model, part of what you're doing is grooming CEOs. But if you had to make what you do on a daily basis make sense to a 13-year-old brain at career day in a school, how do you explain your job?
Man, that's a good one. I probably ought to figure that out. I think it's about developing friendships that are deep that can help you get to where you want to go. And it does that because you get to be around people who are experiencing the same stuff that you are and benefiting from their experiences. So I think developing those deep relationships is what really happens in a Quade circle, that will help you get to where you want to be when you grow up.
What did you want to be speaking of when you were a kid and you were looking at your future when you grew up? What was your dream job?
Man, I was going to play Major League Baseball. Are you kidding?
Okay,
Right?
okay.
I mean, that's easy. Yeah, no, I grew up in a small town in Indiana, and we actually had a pretty strong baseball program growing up. And so I played. So that was what I wanted to be, and then realized that I couldn't hit a curveball. So that then accelerated into something else. But I didn't really know what that was. I had, I didn't have a tremendous amount of exposure to high professional work when I was growing up. My dad was a UPS driver for 30 years. My mom was a secretary at the school corporation. My stepdad happened to have some executive leadership that gave me some exposure. So he kind of introduced me to accounting, which became my major when I went to Butler. Was my first job coming out of school, and at that time, my parents all worked for the same company for years and years and years and years. So you kind of figured you would go do that and work at the same place forever. And I quickly got into public accounting and realized that I hated it, and lasted a year, and really didn't know what I was going to do, and got into banking, and banking became my career. So yeah, those evolutions of time and exposure are really what kind of drives where you go and how you get there.
So I'm curious, what was the baseball team you rooted for being there in Indiana?
Yeah, I was a big Reds fan, right? So for two reasons, one, so I grew up in the '70s, so the big red machine was pretty powerful.
Yeah.
But the other thing is I'm a contrarian, and all my buddies were Cubs fans, and that was not any fun to, you had to pick a team to play against, and so everybody else was a Cubs fan. So I grew up a Reds fan.
So you have the Colts, you have the Pacers. Major League Sports exists very well in
Yeah.
Indiana. What about baseball? Is that ever a clatter that you'd get a team?
No, I don't think so. I think there would have been opportunities before, but you've got so many clubs that are, two in Chicago. You've got, the Cardinals in St. Louis. You've got Kansas City that's not very far away. You've got Cincinnati, Cleveland. Yeah, it's pretty cloudy here. Yeah, I don't see it. We've got a AAA. I think they're a Pirates affiliate here. Great little ballpark downtown that's fun to go to and all that. But yeah, I don't see a Major League Baseball team
Okay.
coming.
I've always been curious in the heartland. There's just certain states that do really well with major sports. I
Yeah.
just thought maybe that would work. So, what were some early examples growing up that you saw of leadership, of excellence around you that made you successful in your career, that has made you this lightning rod now to get CEOs into a better place? How did this happen?
Yeah, Joe, I think that's a really good question. I think, first of all, growing up playing team sports, I was really fortunate to have some great coaches that I got to see, and I got to see some very stoic, classic controlled leader who had success, and I got to see the fiery, kind of spit in your face football coach that type of example who was also successful. So I got to see that. But then just growing up, I was surrounded by great leaders. My stepdad was a really great leader, and a specific thing that I lean on from him is I could see him talk to the maintenance folks in his facility just as comfortable as can humanly be possible. And then at night, watch him have dinner with executives from a Japanese company that was coming over to, check out their factory and that type of stuff. So the ability to have communication with everybody, every level of human, and treat them all with dignity and respect was a really early leadership trait that I picked up on from him. So, those are kind of the earliest days, right? Back in middle school, high school, whatever. Those are pretty impactful to me.
So from a top-down perspective, from someone running a company to a product that people buy into, to having a happy workforce, who's a CEO? Who's a business mind that you've emulated or you've looked up to?
Man, that's really hard. It's a great question. It's a fair question. I think one of the things that I take a lot of pride in is I treat every interaction as kind of a learning opportunity. And so again, I've been really blessed with exposure to amazing leaders, and one of my early roles in banking, I was the chief administrative and chief financial officer for a large regional bank who had, I had exposure to the highest levels, literally in the organization, but then also day to day exposure to five or six or seven group presidents that I could watch, and I call it pocketing experiences. So I would watch them and see how they handled different situations and different opportunities and different challenges. And in my right pocket, I'd put the ones that worked out pretty well, and in my left pocket, I put the ones that I said I'd never do. And so that really exposed me to a lot. I read a fair amount. In Search of Excellence was a book that I read when I was a senior in high school that had a really big impact on me. Certainly, Good to Great was another impactful book for me. Sahil Bloom, I love reading his stuff today. Like it's just a bunch of I don't know, just I don't just a bunch of weird random collections of experiences and readings and whatever, and then tried to make them myself, make them my own, and personalize them. So yeah, I can't come to one person. It's just been a whole conglomeration of stuff.
So who's been that inspirational force in your life that's allowed you to navigate down your professional road to this point? Who is a heroic individual?
Yeah, I mean that's you get yourself into trouble if you start doing that. I mean, huge. huge influence in my life is my mom, right? Um, Her and my dad got divorced when I was pretty young, and you're watching her work two jobs at times and helping instill that work ethic. And, we're just going to get shit done, right? Like we're not going to worry about who's getting credit and all that kind of stuff. It's, we need to survive and do stuff. So I think, if I've got to have a hero, it's going to be my mom.
So, if you could meet anybody alive right now, you had mentioned all of these authors of these key books in your life, and we kind of talked about leaders. If you can meet anybody that might help you on your journey, spend a little time with them, pick their brain. Is there anybody that you're fascinated by that you would love to meet?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you go along a lot of the stuff. Jim Collins, I think would be great to meet. Sahil Bloom, I'd really enjoy meeting and hanging out with. Yeah, those would be probably the top two from a influencer type perspective for sure.
So, along your professional journey, as you talk to CEOs, the cornerstone of any good CEO or entrepreneur are the risks that you take. We're always walking into the unknown and hoping for the best. What's one of the biggest risks that you've taken in your professional journey?
Yeah, I think actually there's a bunch of them that I didn't take, right? Like that I can think of, and maybe I grew up in that conservative world of you get a good job and you hang on to it for a really long time. Banking became an amazing career, and I remember firmly like I was a commercial lender before I was a bank CEO, and you get exposure to all these different entrepreneurs and leaders, and you start to take a look at it and you're like, you know, I'm pretty envious of this. Like they've got their own business and all this kind of stuff, but they're not any brighter than I am, right? Like, but they had something that they just took a chance at some level, like, and that's what you're asking. So I didn't take a chance for a really long time because I was good at what I did, but B, I was comfortable, right? I could lead with other people's money, and that was kind of fun, but that wasn't ultimately as fulfilling. And so, if you call it a risk, I think going out on my own and launching Quade was, I had plenty of people that I was kind of pitching the idea to, and they're like, "Why? Why would you do that? You're comfortable, you're whatever." I'm like, I just want to have an impact on people. I want to do something for myself. I've made a lot of people a lot of money, and maybe it's time for me to do something on my own and do something for me and my family. So, yeah, it was a pretty calculated risk, but certainly risky to go out on your own to do anything. So launching Quade, starting something from scratch that certainly has a bunch of competitors in the marketplace, but I knew that my model was right and it was for the right type of people that I wanted to serve. And so yeah, a risk, sure. Is it calculated? Yeah, for sure.
So anytime you run your own outfit, there's all kinds of demands that are on your time. It's not an easy thing to do. So with Quade, what gets you up every day to do this work, to change lives, to live this vision that the dream that you've had? What is
Yeah.
that every day for you?
Well, I mean, just being able to watch the impact that we've had on people's lives, right, is really cool. Is the connectivity. I'm a natural connector, and to be able to not only connect people with needs or people with that can solve needs, but also to connect ideas and to say, are you going deep enough to push people, to challenge people, to hold them accountable? For me, getting to hang out with really smart people on a regular basis and watching them grow and push each other and push me and challenge me and all that kind of stuff, man, that is pretty freaking awesome. And now we've developed a licensee model where we're training more people to be able to do this for other entrepreneurs and other CEOs. And so to me, the drive to get up is that to have an impact on more and more people the way that joining a CEO peer group 19 years ago had on me when it changed my life. So yeah, that's it, man. It's totally impact on providing this much needed community for CEOs and entrepreneurs.
So you clearly came from a mindset early on in your life where when you got the good job, you were going to be a career guy there. But you've done something a little different with the way that you've lived your life. If you were to have a dream tonight, ran into that 18-year-old version of you, and you walked up and there was a film projector and you hit play and it was a 60-second highlight reel of your life, the choices you've made, the career you've had. Would that young version of you believe that you got here, that this happened?
No, because he didn't know that it existed, right? Like, I grew up in small town Indiana, and again, had an amazing childhood. There's zero complaints, but I was pretty sheltered from what was out in the real world, and only until you got out, and until you get out and get exposure to different ideas and different people and different backgrounds and different opportunities that exist, you have no idea. So at 18, I was in a pretty tight little bubble. Didn't we didn't travel a whole lot as a family. We didn't, internationally or anything like that. It was always around sports, but so I didn't know what was out there in the real world. And so, yeah, your answer, or the answer to your question is no, no way in hell the 18-year-old Mark have thought that I'd be doing what I'm doing, because he didn't even know that it existed.
Would you give that version of you any advice?
Yeah. Get out of your bubble, go ask questions, surround yourself with people that are different from you, and pick their brains and have an open mind, and just converse with them, and get an understanding of why they believe what they believe, how they think, what they think, what drives them, what opportunities are out there, what things. Try like, it sounds so stupid, try different foods that you've never had before, watch movies, listen to music that you've never heard before. Just be open to completely different things, and man, your life will be so full and different and unique and challenging and fun and all that stuff, man. Yeah, that'd be it.
So if you were to go into a room of everybody that's known you in your career now and your banking career before, and you walked into that room and went to a podium, and you could tell them one fun story about your life, first concert you went to, a seminal sporting experience, a wonderful magical place you traveled to, just a fun story that might shed a little bit more humanity on you, what would be a story you would tell that room?
Yeah, best story ever is when and this we're talking in March of 2026, so the NCAA tournament's going on. But in March, going into April of 2010, Butler University was playing for the national championship in Indianapolis. And for those of you who don't know, at that time, Butler was a 5,000 student university headquarter here in Indianapolis. A very historic basketball program and all that kind of stuff. But they were playing in the Horizon League, which is, kind of a mid-major league, and really shocked the world to be there. And they're playing for the national championship, and they're playing Duke, right? And so it comes down to Butler's down two with seconds left to go, and a half court shot to win it, and it bounces off the backboard and off the rim, and we end up losing by two. But if that had gone in, it would have been the most amazing upset in the history of sports, literally. And so we're there.
Wow.
I took my kids out of school. My wife's a Butler grad. I'm a Butler grad. We were there, and the ball bounces off the rim, and I look at Deb, and I go, it was supposed to go in. Like like I was shocked that it didn't go in. And I think, if you start to wrap that up in a bow of what that means, like I love the underdog. I've always loved the underdog. That's pretty cool. But I'm also that optimist, that fairy tale ending type focused person of just keep working your ass off, keep hustling, keep doing the thing, and it's all going to work out. So yeah, thanks for that. I did not prepare for that.
That's awesome. I think about
Yeah,
Kansas City. If we didn't win the World Series in 2015, that 2014 one where Alex Gordon hit that triple and stopped at third, that would have haunted Kansas City. I
yeah,
mean, to this day, people still
yeah.
have statistically, scientifically broken that down. Could he have made it home? And everybody says no way. But I think with the way that stadium was shaking, um, another thing I was thinking, I saw a shot the other day, a half court shot, and that thing rolled around the rim and it was meant to go in and it just
Yeah.
popped out. It's so weird. And sometimes I wonder if there's so much noise and energy sometimes that it can just affect just one particle on that ball, you know? I mean, it's
Yeah,
just,
well, I'll tell you what. When at the Butler game, there was not a sound going on. It
oh,
was
okay.
silence. Like it was, it was the eeriest feeling ever. Like the entire stadium is on their feet watching this happen, and it is complete silence as the ball goes in, and you could just wait for the eruption to happen. And as you would guess, 95% of that stadium was rooting for Butler, the huge underdog. If that shot had gone in, the Lucas Oil Stadium roof would have just
Would
blown
it just
off.
explode? That's wild. And Duke of all teams, because I remember that year now. And Duke is always the villain. I mean, you just always.
Yeah.
I mean, who was that? Christian Leitner, I believe, back in the day. Like,
Yep.
there's always been villains on that team, and to beat of all teams Duke, that would have been sweet. You know.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
For sure.
so when you look back on your career and the huge rear view mirror of everything that you've done, what are you ultimately the happiest about, the proudest of?
I think the development of people, that's been pretty cool. I think, one of the things that's really cool that I hadn't thought about until about 6 months ago, but I have three folks from my coaching tree, if you will, that are now bank CEOs. That's pretty cool. I would have never have guessed that, and not even just at the CEO level, but I can name by name 10 people whose lives that I saw change throughout working with our teams and seeing them accomplish things that they never even thought that they never even dreamed of. So yeah, I think the growth and the impact that I've had on people is certainly the most prideful.
So, Mark, at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, everyone that you know in different bubbles, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I'm just some knucklehead from Logansport, Indiana, man. I mean, yeah, honestly, I think one of the things that became really clear to me early on in my leadership career, so call it 36, 37 years old, was as unapologetically authentic is the phrase that I've been using. And when I decided that I could be 100% Mark McFatridge at all times, that changed my life. And so I am the exact same person on your podcast, in a boardroom, in every meeting, every personal interaction that I have. And so I like that. I take a lot of pride in that I am as plain spoken as I'm the same person wherever I am. And so I think that's something that I'm really proud of for me. And I think, pretty much labels who I am of I am just some knucklehead from Logansport, Indiana.
So, what's the best thing about living in Indianapolis, Indiana?
Man, so much, right? It's a really cool community. It's a big small town, so you can get as involved as you want. People value relationships. People trust you until you prove them otherwise. That's a really cool, unique thing. Um, the Indianapolis 500 is the one of the coolest events. Forget about sporting events. It's one of the coolest events that you can ever participate in, and it brings, in on one day, 325,000 people in one spot at one time. That's pretty amazing to see that happen. Certainly the Colts, while we certainly could be doing better, that'd be great. The Pacers, played in the NBA championship last year. I've got Butler University a mile from my house. There's a pretty decent music scene. There's a great food scene. Man, it's just laid back Midwest people, right? And so yeah, the weather sucks, right? Like
Yeah.
it's, but other than that, it's a pretty great place to be from.
Yeah, I've always heard the Indianapolis 500 is just one of those things that is a once in a lifetime. And I keep thinking we're going to get the World Cup in August here in Kansas City, and the world's going to descend on us. So we're going to feel a little glimmer of what that's like to get that level, that sweltering level of humans in one place.
Yeah,
So,
well, and so you're right, and that'll be amazing. we do it every year,
Yeah,
right? This is
right.
the 110th running. Like this May will be the 110th running of the Indianapolis 500.
Wow.
And you can see over my right shoulder, you can see all the programs of the Indianapolis 500s that I've attended. I think this is going to be number 19 for me.
Wow.
So we love it. It's a family tradition for us.
Yeah.
So we bring everybody together. We leave our house at 6 a.m. We eat 3 meals at the track. We griddle breakfast burritos. We take fried chicken into the race. We, have food afterwards, waiting while we let the 300,000 knuckleheads leave and head out. It's pretty cool. We've got a 2.5-year-old daughter now, or granddaughter now, and she went to her first race last year at 1.5. So she'll be back. So yeah, it's a pretty cool deal.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
thinking that painting back there might be the portal that you get into to find your 18-year-old self.
You know what's funny? So that painting is a really cool story. So every year, Quade hosts an unconference. I don't like conferences, so we try to make it as unique as possible. So
Yeah.
2 years ago, I had somebody come and live paint during the
Cool.
unconference, and she had never had exposure to Quade at all. And she goes, "What do you want?" I go, "I want you to be part of the room and paint what you view as the essence of Quade." And so in the heart, in the middle is a heart, right?
Okay.
So you can see that.
Oh
But then
yeah.
in the four corners, there are four words. So upper left is grit, um, upper right is raw, lower right is real, and then in the lower left is badasses.
Nice.
And that was her perception. And we talk about things in circles, right? Those are our groups that of what we call them. And so we're at the end of the unconference, and she's going to do her unveiling. And like I was nervous. I didn't know. I didn't see any of it at all. We didn't. She and I didn't talk throughout the whole thing and all this kind of stuff. So I felt like I was being called to the principal's office and was going to get graded. And she like whips it around and she starts going through it. I'm like bawling, right? She nailed it. It was a super, super cool experience and all that. So yeah, I'm super proud of that.
Yeah, I love it. It's a great painting. I've been looking at it the whole time. It's wonderful. So if anybody is ready for the next step, they want to dive into Quade, any of the good business in your world, where's the best place to go?
Yeah, QuadeCircle.com has everything that you could want on it. Certainly, you can go to my LinkedIn profile. You can go to the LinkedIn profile. Those would probably be the best places to go. Really, really appreciate you bringing me on and
Yeah,
giving me this opportunity. This is great.
absolutely. It was great to meet you, man. Best of luck. Enjoy the races. And I'll have to get up there. I'll let you know when I go to the Jazz Kitchen what my summer
Do it.
is.
I'll meet you. I can walk there, so yeah,
Yeah,
that'll be easy.
I'll give you a heads up for sure. It would be great.
All right, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
you.
you, sir. I appreciate it. And hey,